Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farooq Patafi. Yesterday was quite a happening day. There were two developments that took place. One, of course, the budget of Pakistan was presented and we debated it, discussed it yesterday in the program. But there was another major development. The Prime Minister of Pakistan also addressed the nation, in which he especially pointed out how the previous leaders of the country have been involved in money laundering, and his point about corruption that he has been making for quite some time is now proven because most of these leaders either are behind the bars or they are being prosecuted. Simultaneously, Prime Minister of Pakistan pointed out that there is a humongous debt that Pakistan owes to various international organizations, and that debt was incurred because of the spendthrift habits or perhaps corruption of the previous leaders. And he then announced that he is going to form a special committee that will probe into this. Most of the institutions that were mentioned, apart from ISI, are part of state institutions like SECP. This is important, and one has to ask what exactly is going to be the nature of politics in coming days and how these probes are going to affect a hung parliament. We saw a lot of friction yesterday in the parliament as well. Luckily, fortunately, the budget was nevertheless presented. Does it mean that in coming days we are going to see more friction? Does it mean that this country is finally going to come out of debt trap because the leaders that are being pursued, if they are really corrupt, and if somehow money is retrieved from their coffers, it might actually mean that the country doesn't need to actually follow or depend on a debt all the time. In order to help us understand these issues, we are joined by a very eminent panel, a politically charged and knowledgeable panel. I'm joined by Mohammad Ibrahim Khan Sahab, who is an MNA of ruling Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Next to him is Zubair Hori Sahab. Dr. Zubair Hori Sahab needs no introduction if you have seen PTV in past many years, or this program as well. He has been a regular in this show and also used to host a program here as well. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. And next to him is Kaisar Ahmed Sheikh Sahab, who is an MNA of Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, the leading opposition party. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Ibrahim Khan Sahab, let us talk about this committee first. The way it is being tailored, it is said that it doesn't go far enough or maybe too far. One aspect is, for example, these two arguments I've heard today. One is that instead of actually going to the parliament or forming a parliamentary committee, you go to other institutions. But the second argument is that you depend on the state resources rather than hiring some private forensic experts. What do you have to say on that, sir?
Well, very well put, but I would like to suggest that all of those institutions which the Honorable Prime Minister has brought into the notice of the nation is FIA, ISI,
Sir.
all these institutions, or SECP, which is a record keeper of all the business and activities, and these are the investigative institutions which have the expertise in the relevant field.
Okay.
And they can perform much better instead of performing a committee of the MNAs who do not have an experience in the investigative work.
Okay.
So I think this was very legitimate and the right direction, which he has pointed out to that this is what he's going to do. He's very clear about his objectives, and I think the speech he delivered yesterday was from the core of his heart, and it really, we were having a program here yesterday while he was addressing the nation, and I happened to watch that later on, and very powerful speech. And he took the nation into confidence and told them each and everything, the way things have been mismanaged financially and how the country has been taken for a ride, okay, by these two families.
Okay. If you are going to further tighten the screws, and the problem is that it is a hung parliament, are you prepared for a situation where parliament cannot make any laws at all?
Sir, I tell you what, this is just a perception, making laws. What laws? I mean, trust me, you still have enough laws in your pocket. If you only implement on those laws, you, I mean, really are not in any dire need of an immediate, legislation.
Sir, with due respect, parliament has to function.
Parliament has to function.
It is main job.
Sir,
is
the
to-
parliament will function.
Okay.
What I am saying is we have the laws available to us. If we can act upon it in true letter and spirit,
Right.
trust me, we can make wonders.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me bring in Zubair Hori Sahab. Dr. Sahab, you have listened to the Prime Minister's speech.
Yeah.
You have seen the idea of investigating who borrowed how much money and what they did with it. What do you think? It is going to lead anywhere? Whether it is going to bring some dramatic changes in the society, or like past, we are going to repeat ourselves?
Well, there's no harm in investigating that who has done bad to the country. There's no harm in investigating these all allegations so that everything should be clear that these are not only hollow allegations, they have some meat in it. But restricting it to 10 years may be a long shot. It could be extended to further 10 years or 20 years, but other people may also argue that why not start then for 1947? You have to have some breaking point somewhere. So let's start at 10 years before.
But Prime Minister says that 27 trillion rupees
Yeah.
were borrowed only in past 10 years.
Yeah, past 10 years.
Compared it with the previous borrowing, and it becomes dramatic. So
Yeah,
why
but-
not investigate it right?
Yeah, why not? But why not extend it to 1998 onward, when there was a Pervez Musharraf regime? Well, that's a
I mean,
debatable
you
question.
can start from the
Yeah.
start of human beings,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you
You must have some breaking point. So there's no harm in doing the investigation. I'm all for it. You must have some breaking point, but then there should be no witch hunting.
Okay.
There should be complete confidence of the people. Although the investigating agencies or the NAB has some kind of credibility issues now in the country, although they are working hard at the moment and burning midnight oil. People are making these allegations and only the opposition party are being targeted. Only one person from the government side, that was Alim Khan, was arrested, and later on no arrest was made, although there are allegations against the people who are sitting on the treasury benches. The second point that Khan Sahib has pointed out, they don't need a legislation at the moment, but my point is you just need legislation now because you have to pass this money bill.
yeah.
Only for this reason, you need numbers in the hand.
No, but they have some numbers, at
What-
least in the lower house.
But what about the Senate?
No, in money bill, you don't need Senate
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, you don't need
this,
that.
That's why it
Yeah,
is
you
a
don't need
different
that.
story.
But they are facing another situation that is in the face of Akhtar Mengal Sahib,
Yeah.
who has already gone to the Pakistan People's Party, and he said that since we were not given those options that were promised to us, and today there is a development that he has been talked to once again. Two of the
So you have
MNAs
heard that there is a reconciliation process
Kind of.
between the government and
Kind of. But-
BNP Mingle.
But the majority is thin. We must always remember two of the voters of this government who happen to be belonging to PTM are already behind the bars. I don't know whether they will come to the rescue of the government, this government, or not once the money bill will be presented.
Okay.
The point here is that what we are going to do with this economy,
Okay.
we want to overhaul this system once and for all, and then maybe at the risk of losing further confidence in the economic market.
Right. And I'm going to come back to that very existential argument, but let me bring in
Okay.
Sheikh Saab. Sir, your take on this idea. Is your government, is your party actually going to support the idea?
First of all, I must mention that this government has miserably failed in what they said. Now, this new investigation team, they could have formulated 10 months ago. You see, first of all, I should mention about the public debt. He mentioned the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, who has no background from the economic side. He doesn't know about these things. He mentioned that in PML government, in 5 years, we took loans of 9,000 billion rupees. Now, Actually, I have those figures. Of course, he is right that we took 9,000 billion, but with these 9,000 billions, the GDP, the income in the pockets of the Pakistanis increased by 13,000 billion.
Okay.
We took 9,000 billion, but these are the figures given by the finance ministry in our finance committee meeting.
Right.
So first year increased from 25,000 to 27,400, then to 29,000, then to 31,900, and eventually fifth year 34,300.
So-
overall 13,000 increase in income of the people. So without getting loan, which country?
You're talking about per capita income.
Yeah, no, total GDP. I'm
total
talking
GDP,
about
okay.
the total, whatever
Okay.
went to the pockets of the people of Pakistan.
Right.
Now, my point is that our GDP, our loan to, with GDP percentage is about 70%. India is the same 70%.
Okay.
India, then Japan is 100%, and America is more than 120%. No, what happened that if we took, and to overall loan he mentioned, the Honorable Prime Minister mentioned yesterday about 27,000 billion. Now those 18,000 billion are for the period in which Mr. Hafiz Sheikh was in charge.
Okay.
So he should be asked. He is with him now.
Mr.
So-
Hafiz Sheikh was there for only a few months.
Yes,
His
not
party
only
was there.
No, before
3
that,
years, 3 years.
Yeah, he was in for 3 years, not only few. He was in charge in Q League period. He was in charge in People Party period. He is in charge in PTA period. The same person. No elected person is there.
Right.
They don't have any in their team.
But
So my
since,
point-
sir, with due respect, since you were comparing the three countries, Japan's economy is struggling right now. When you talk about India, India is a different case, but America actually holds the world's legal tender. So you cannot compare Pakistan with America.
If I am comparing Pakistan to Pakistan, that with 9,000 billion loans, we increased income of the people, 13,000
Yeah, but-
billion. Is it wrong?
But,
is there
that
any-
went away, right? And let me,
Where it went?
let
No,
me
it
ask
remained
you-
the same. It remained it is the figures with you.
Yeah,
so
but
why
the-
don't you talk, when he talks about loans, why doesn't he talk about the income of the people?
Right.
What is
Let
the growth
me,
in that?
Ask Ibrahim Khan Sahab to actually respond to this.
First, I would like to respond to your initial question about we have a very thin margin, and the Honorable Prime Minister has been very specific about it. If he says leaving the government, it's not the issue. If he has to give up his life for bringing this country to the right path, he will do that. So for us, that is not the issue. We have to fix things and we have to correct things in the right direction where Pakistan can become a self-sustaining economy instead of always depending on the borrowed money.
Okay.
And-
But with due respect, leaving the country or not might not be an issue for you, but for the policy that you are going to pursue, it is a factor. If you leave the government, then you cannot pursue it.
No.
Then it will not happen, right?
This is the level of determination that he has explained, that for him, government is, for him, for any personal gains, he's not there for any personal gains, he's there for this country, for the people of Pakistan.
Right.
And he can sacrifice anything for the betterment of the people of Pakistan. This is exactly what he meant by saying that. And secondly, the question was about the laws.
Yeah.
When I said we don't need, we are not in immediate dire need of, this is what we're here for,
You're-
to
you're-
making laws.
you're
But
talking about
I'm
money
saying
laundering,
there's
right?
Enough law
Sir, with due
legislation.
respect, let us
done.
test this argument that
Sure.
there are enough laws. You're talking about money laundering, right? The trigger point that came out was offshore accounts. We don't have to this day any law that covers offshore accounts or how to actually get money back from offshore accounts. You need some laws to actually get money, repatriate your cash from abroad as well.
Sir,
How are you going to do it if you don't have the numbers?
No. Yes, you can make laws, but those laws are within the country. When you talk about internationally bringing those amounts of money back, you have to make contracts with different countries.
No, first you have to make laws here.
But this is what.
Without that, you cannot do it.
Sir, no. When you're dealing with another country, you have to deal with them in accordance with their laws, keeping in mind their laws. And this is what we did with UK. We are in the process of working out, mechanism where we can, the people who have looted and plundered Pakistan's wealth sitting abroad can be brought back, and also with
That is
regards
called
to bringing the money
extradition
back.
treaty.
Yes,
Extradition
extradition
is
is separate, but
Repatriation of cash or money abroad, stashed
that
abroad.
that is also on the table with the foreign countries, since they have their own laws and their own.
And their law actually
legislations.
requires that we make a law through which we contact them, right? This is an important aspect.
Absolutely.
But I feel that Dr. Zubair Khawri is bursting with arguments.
No, I'm not bursting with the argument. I'm just trying to understand. I'm coming back to the point that I was trying to make. Are we here for an existential question? Because any economy in the world works primarily two things. One, its numbers, which if you look at Pakistani numbers, whosoever's responsibility that was, they are showing a horrible picture. And secondly, the sentiment of the market. The sentiment is also not so good. So when you are having two severe negatives, then you are definitely trying to get into some existential problem. And consider the fate of the people also.
Okay.
This budget has definitely increased financial issues, particularly for the salaried class,
Right.
both in the government sector and the private sector.
Right.
So my question is, behind this government, the nation is standing strong like an iron wall to go with existential hit, or we should do it rather gradually, without thumping our chests, without crying halt, without shouting from the top of our voices, and let this process continue.
Okay.
And let the things happen, and consolidating our arguments and consolidating our institutions and consolidating our governance system, these things can work in tandem with each other. Now what happens? When there is a sentiment problem, when there is the number indicators problem, when there is a governance problem, then this whole thing will ditch you down, bring you down like a gravitational pull. Because there's no doubt that the Prime Minister is here with a certain will. He wants to change the society in a very dramatic fashion.
Okay.
He thinks that it is a watershed mark and this opportunity should not go begging. But is the people of Pakistan ready for this huge Iron Curtain challenge?
Well-
Are people not crying for price hike, for their governance
No,
improvement?
but how do the two things actually affect each other?
Yes,
If
they
you are
do.
investigating that who has been corrupt in the past and who has borrowed so much money, does it undercut the economic fundamentals of the society?
Yes.
It doesn't.
It's a very important question. Now, point is that for me, it's not a zero-sum game, but for the government, it appears to be a zero-sum game, mutually exhaustive thing. This should not be mutually exhaustive, as you have very rightly pointed out. Now, this process of accountability should continue independently without any involvement of the government,
Okay.
which is already going on. The government should not, I repeat, should not be creating panic in the market.
No, nobody is talking about that, but at this moment, a new committee is being created. So Prime Minister had to take people into confidence. But let me go back to Kaisar Sheikh Saab. Sir, you have to still answer the original question. You said that the government's claims and the reality on ground don't tally, right? But is there any harm in this investigation? Are you going to support the modalities as they stand today?
Very good question. I will like to advance his arguments of Dr. Saab. Actually, I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
I had been President Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Karachi, 32 years ago.
Sir.
And I have been involved in tax reforms commissions also of Mr. Senator Mazharul Haq. No, actually, the market is very sensitive. You see, I don't feel any harm. They had been doing through NAB. FIA is already there, SECP is already there. I don't feel any harm, but I tell you, he's very right. The market is very sensitive. What happened now? Due to his all loud claims, nothing could be, we could not get more revenue. Actually, the stock exchange went from $90 billion to $50 billion, the capitalization of the, because of this sentiment.
Okay.
You see, one has to see about our people. Only crying and claiming, you see, if I say this is the appropriate. This is not the appropriate measure. This is not in the benefit of economy.
So,
Our
with due
overall
respect, you talked about market capitalization of our stock markets.
Yes.
People, just for the sake of argument, would say that that capital that fled was essentially speculative capital, and that kind of capital usually flees whenever there is tension.
Well, at the end of the day, that was
I
the
don't
capital.
argue. Maybe
You don't
speculative.
need-
I don't
you need
argue
capital.
with it. Maybe speculative, but actually the money, the
money
people
was
were
there.
earning. People were earning. So 6,000 billion rupees in 1 year they lost.
Okay.
So what are you giving benefit to the people? Only it should be separate the prosecution, the all NAP system and whatever they claim. We don't oppose that.
Let
I
me-
also don't oppose this idea.
Right.
But I foresee it will be a drastic mistake. I don't oppose because they can say that, okay, you see what up to now NAB did. Actually, I forcefully say that in 1 year, 4,000 billion rupees of corruption, even today, is going to be there.
Okay.
And nobody will oppose to me.
You're
on this.
talking about the economy.
Yes, of the economy. Now, my point is that out of this 4,000 billion, NAB is collecting 5 billion in 1 year.
Okay.
What is happening to 3,995 billions?
Okay.
So all these institutions are there. So if they
So,
make,
are you arguing for the capacity building of these institutions?
I'm not arguing. I'm arguing that if you lose the sentiments of the economy with this, okay, even these institutions, it is a huge working. It should be with the systems, not only with these institutions.
Okay.
This can be
what
claimed
system?
other countries.
What system would you recommend? A, parliamentary committee. B, hiring some third interlocutor who goes and investigates. What kind of a forensic expert would you recommend?
You see, it is a very good question. All kind of systems, whatever is helpful to our economy, you see other countries have done it. You see the corruption has been mitigated with various systems. Now the technology is there. There are many other things to be discussed in more detail. But the systems are there. With this idea, what the Prime Minister said yesterday, with the sentiments, I assure you, I tell you, that the things will be further out of confidence in our economy.
Can
in
you
our
qualify
market.
how? How? Because they are talking about past, they are talking about few people who were leading the country and they were borrowing. So it is a base, open and shut
I
investigation.
told you very frankly that out of the 18,000 billions in 5 years, the person in charge is still the person in charge of
So
your country.
let them ask them.
So he should ask,
A
initially.
committee can ask the finance minister also.
I feel it should be.
Okay.
But my point, if you get my idea, my thinking is, it will further make our market very. There will be no logic,
vulnerable.
the confidence will be shattered,
Okay.
and there will not be any investment from the far. At present, we need. You see, India is having $60 billion investment. We don't have 1 billion.
Yeah.
So what is, we are
No,
shaking
I
the
totally
confidence of the business community, shaking the confidence of foreign investors. This will not give
I
not
agree
give any
with
benefit.
the comparison when it comes to FDI in India, but I don't know whether you have followed India's foreign economic advisor's report recently. He said that India is also padding the numbers, that its model is actually over-reporting its growth, and that is a frightening prospect because we are sitting next door. But sir, markets are going to be shuttered if we are going to go ahead with
Not
this
at
idea.
all. First of all, I would like to point out the issue that this country, with this shuttered economy, still have the potential for 10 trillion rupees a year tax collection.
Prime Minister talked about that,
He did.
but you'll have to start showing that as well.
Absolutely. We have this year we have given a target of 555 billion
Okay.
rupees target, which inshallah we are going to attain.
Okay.
And they were talking about like what benefit we have given to the public, the common people. There was an increase for the salaried person from grade 5 to 16. It was increased for 10%, 5 to 10%. And 100 billion has been allocated for the business community, for the businessmen,
Okay.
for the industry, to facilitate them so they can flourish and they can have a better opportunity
No, but
to.
this argument, that if this committee is going to go ahead and do its job,
Right.
especially because finance minister was there when this started or it was happening, then it is going to shake the markets. How are you going to
So
actually
no,
argue?
this is, I mean,
Finance advisor,
this is
I'm
like
sorry.
more like mixing up. The finance minister is not chief executive of the country.
He is not.
Finance minister can only advise you on financial issues. Finance minister did not tell you to go and buy properties abroad and siphon money and money laundering, and I mean, he did not give you the ideas. So, holding him responsible, since he is participating or doing his job right now at the moment, and we go on to blaming him that he is the one, so we should let everybody else go. He should be held accountable, and
Can I ask you about the possible timelines? How soon are we going to see this committee?
Sir, this committee approximate in about 3 months' time.
And how much time will it have to investigate?
And I tell you, in 1 year's, approximate 1 year's time, you will start seeing the difference and you will start seeing the results coming in.
Okay.
Okay.
A forensic audit of our borrowing of past 10 years. Is it what you're saying?
This is exactly what I'm saying, that you will start getting the results. Because Sheikh Saab was right that we do have now the facility and the means available to us to find out how things went and how all of
That
this.
is great, sir. Incidentally, let me ask you, there were task forces that your government had formed. For example, bureaucracy reform and all that. They were supposed to give results in 3 months. What is happening to Ishrat Hussain Saab's committees?
I would
When are
like
they going to come up with the proposals?
They are, I mean, you see, a system for the past 40 years or 45 years was in the hands of those who were self-serving, self-centered, self-serving people, and had no intention of improving the lives of the people of Pakistan. As a result, what happened that everybody who was in charge and in partially in part of power, I mean, sharing the power, even in the bureaucracy, they were all became
Bottlenecks? They are
yes.
trying to actually stop it?
yes,
From
they are
moving
trying
forward?
to stop it, and we.
I'm going
have
to ask Kaisa Sheikh Saab as
Sure.
well when we
So
go
what
ahead.
we are doing is now we are trying to, we have, with a very thin margin, we are trying to find out those good officers who can be put in to.
No, I
deliver.
understand that. But there was a set of proposals that was in the making and we discussed it.
Sure.
And there was a timeline. What I'm saying is you have overstepped the timeline that was given. Let me actually
just last
go to the
answer
ex-bureaucrat
Sure,
here.
I know. The timeline was when you're working under normal circumstances. We are going through extraordinary financial disastrous circumstances.
But
and
Ishrat Saab doesn't have to do
It will
it.
take time.
I mean, Ishrat Saab has to just write it down and come up with the proposal.
It's not that easy, sir. It takes time.
Well,
It's time-consuming.
according to my knowledge, Dr. Saab has already gave some presentations to the Prime Minister.
Yeah, we
And
heard
some
about them.
things are moving. We don't know what's the speed about that.
No, we heard about two things. One, rationalization of cadres, and the second thing was the induction process, how it is going to reform.
So there are multi-pronged approach that he
But
has
how
proposed.
monies, when they go into the coffers of various departments, and how they are utilized and why do they lapse, are not being audited right now. You have to have some kind of audit of the capacity of governance of various departments. That is not happening.
That's a different debate altogether. I wish we could have this debate.
No, but
some
I'm
other
just
day.
highlighting
Yeah.
what
That's-
is happening or what should
yeah,
be happening.
Yeah,
Right?
that's a different debate altogether, the governance problem, but that is the main key. I have no problem with the accountability process. This should go on. I have no problem with investigation of the kind of looted money that the Prime Minister was referring to. And I also don't have problem that this country should be purified of all corruption. But I have the issue of day-to-day people's affairs, the governance system.
Okay.
the improvement of sanitation, roads infrastructure, health facilities.
That is not federal government's job, is it?
No, it's a part of
It is
Even
local
if it
government's
is-
job.
Even if it is a provincial
Actually-
job, who is running the provincial government in Punjab?
Sanitation is actually local government
No,
job.
I'm
sir.
not saying a local government job. Don't pass the buck.
No,
Let
no,
me
I'm-
finish that.
I mean,
it is just passing
you-
the buck.
if
That
I'm
I-
going to talk about
that-
reversing
that
the
Khan Sahib
decision,
is
you're going to
saying,
say
I am
18th
PTI,
Amendment.
I am PTI, I'm sitting in the federal government. Who's running Punjab?
No, of course.
They have
they
not
are-
come from Mars. They are PTI.
No, but
who is,
local
who is
governments.
running NWF? No, come on.
Sewerage is
Don't
local
let-
government.
That's what I'm saying. That if you
for-
are running a federal government and if you are running the largest province of this country, you need to deliver on governance issues. Why we are talking about bureaucracy then? Then bureaucracy is not federal government. Bureaucracy is working in the provincial government also.
Yeah.
And it goes down to the districts and
So
tehsil
a
level. also.
learned participant like you surely can appreciate the nuances in the system, right? And while you are
There's no
comparing,
nuance,
what
no
I'm saying is
nuances.
apples and oranges are quite
There are
different.
no apples and oranges. The
And
same
potatoes
government,
are
You
very
know,
different
I would-
altogether.
I would
the
like
same
to-
government headed by working Prime Minister, he's also happened to be head of the PTI, is being run by them. Can't they improve governance system in Punjab?
Okay. But coming back to the theory that was actually built by you and furthered by Sheikh Saab, if this committee is made, Dr. Saab,
I'm not talking about committee
no,
anymore.
if this no, but I'm going coming back to the committee.
Enough of that
If
committee. Let it work.
no, please come on. Your argument is, at least his argument was that it is going to have an impact on the stock market and the economy. Can you qualify that point, because originally it was your impulse that he built his case on?
No, that qualifies in this sense that if you are kind of in any way creating stirs, or because of your actions or words there is a tension, there is a market problem in the market, then you have to take care of that. If you think that this is not going to create any problem in the market and everything will be hunky-dory and everything will be smooth going on, then let it be so.
Do you see a
Because I
connection
haven't
between the
seen-
two?
I
Do you
haven't
see a
seen-
connection between the two?
I have seen market fallen today. I had seen market fallen yesterday. My wish is that this thing does not affect it. But we are not living in vacuum or silos. We are living in interconnected society.
Okay, once again,
Federal government is not only
nuances.
Islamabad.
Nuances, sir. Yesterday there was a budget which, by government's own admission, was quite harsh.
You don't need to explain that. I'm just saying that
So
I hope that
markets
there is
might
no
be
connection.
responding to that, not to the
I
Prime
hope
Minister.
that there is no connection, but my point is that you keep this accountability process going on. But please, for God's sake, look at the governance and the market issues as
Yeah,
well.
but here's the question, Sheikh Saab, and this is, if you remember, when you were in government, I used to ask the same thing. The governments are supposed to multitask.
Yes.
Why do we think that if the government starts pursuing this, it is going to stop doing other things?
No, I don't say that. They should do whatever they feel fit.
Okay.
They have come.
And you're
they-
confident with the institutions inducted
You
into
see-
the committee?
You see, what I point out is that these are the institutions already there, existing there. They are working independently. Now they can be working collectively.
Yeah.
Okay, if he feels, the Prime Minister feels, they will give the results. You see, I mentioned to you that NAB could not give the results. Okay, you see, this committee has to probe all departments, the bureaucracy. They will be frightened. The businessmen, they will be frightened. The other. I tell you frankly, but these are the results. I know about this economic system in Pakistan.
Yeah.
You see, it is
And
not
how
so
governance
easy.
works.
It is not so easy. Theoretically, everything things appropriate, but actually we have to see what will be the results on it. Now, what happened? I told you that 50 from 90 billion stock exchange went to 50 billion. Now, again, I tell you that you see, of course, why he has been planning 22 years for this politics. Why this committee was not formulated in the beginning of their tenure of the government?
That's a good question,
You
and
see,
I'm going to
why
ask
they
Ibrahim.
think, because they have become failure. What they thought, they did not had their homework. I had been in the chairman of the committee. Mr. Asad Umar and all their relevant members were with me. They were claiming that they will extract huge amount of taxation from Dubai property. Now, what happened? Every day there was a headline in the newspaper they used to mention. Okay, I think whatever appropriate for the country, I don't feel harm, but I tell you what will it affect on the people. I know the people. You see, how can they give more taxes? Last year, in the beginning of their tenure, they felt that the taxation should be, the exact figure I gave you, 4,435 billion. Now, actually, it is less than 4,100 billion. Now, how can they foresee 5,550 next when their initial thinking and
Numbers,
planning
yeah.
was not successful?
Okay.
Similarly, they felt that the expenditure, they mentioned quite loudly that we will reduce the expenditure. Now, I tell you,
Which
that
expenditure, sir?
the current expenditure
Okay,
of the,
okay. The government.
Running
of
of
the
the
government, running expenditure. Now they have had more 800. They had expended in last 9-10 months 5,932 billion instead of what they planned 4,780. So about this is the figures of the government last budget. So 809 billions has been more spent.
Right.
So
But
they had
should
to.
consider the inflation and the price.
No,
drop
but
of the
no,
Pakistan
they
rupee
did not
that
consider.
might have
They did
Okay,
not consider
before-
at that time the inflation. If I am an economist and I know the business, next year, what are you planning for the next year?
Right.
Not considering the budget inflation. Next year, the same thing will happen.
Right.
They
Sheikh
cannot
Sahib,
collect
but
even
before
5,000
we
billion.
move in a very different tangent, let me ask you one important question. When Ishaq Dar Sahib was finance minister, when your party was ruling the country, your party, your finance minister went abroad and signed agreements with OECD, other bodies, so that finally Pakistan can find the corrupt people and bring back the money. And he, at that time, was talking about $200 billion, Pakistani dollars, stashed abroad. And you were also trying to nab people, and yet economy was not affected. What is different this time?
We did not do in this way. I told you about the systems. I don't remember that Mr. Sagdar himself mentioned about 200 billions.
He did.
If he did,
I was
it was
there.
not correct. Now we have the figures now. It means it was not correct. So I'm not going to defend him. Actual situation we should see that the things are not according to their estimates. You see, the economy is a very sensitive subject. It is not like that any politician says that this will happen and this will happen. But we should deliver about it. So the things are not like that. I tell you, this will make a drastic setback to all these markets and to even to bureaucracy. They will not work. But how they should bring the reforms first? Of course, we should try our best. I'm praying for their success. I'm not against them because all of us are Pakistanis. We want the benefit and progress of Pakistan. No?
Right.
But this is not the feasible
Okay,
estimates.
might I ask you another very basic question before I go to Ibrahim Khan Sahib? And that is, all this talk of borrowing and all this number that keeps bloating every year, why is it that all this information already is not in the public domain? Why don't we have access to all these facts? Why don't we have bodies that explain where, how we actually borrowed, why we borrowed, and what exactly is the quantum of spending? Was it rational or not rational?
The institutions are there. You see, the planning commission is there. Everything, all the finance ministry is there. The FBR is there. Each and every month, the figures are revealed. Nothing that we could get
Can
all
you
of a sudden.
identify one report by the government of Pakistan in 5 years of your tenure, which actually focused on our borrowing or debt? Can you identify a single report?
Every quarter, the State Bank issues this. Every
No, State Bank is talking
no,
about
that is
something
the
else.
official figure. Na, ji?
Right.
State Bank gives the public debt total
But a
figure.
comprehensive audit of past
Audit,
10
you
years,
see, the
5
Public
years.
Account Committee was at that time the People Party, the opposition,
Okay.
is always the Public Account Committee chairperson,
I'm-
and their members are there, not only the chairperson.
Sheikh Sahib,
All the parties, parliamentary parties, have their representation in Finance Committee, in Public Account Committee. So this is the forum where, but the things, there are needs to be improved, many things to be improved. The
Let
systems
us
are
hope
to
in
be-
coming days that happens. I'm told that we are left with 2 minutes. 1 minute, more than 1 minute is yours.
Yes, please. The last thing I would like to say, it's not the system which is rotten. It's the man behind the system which has rotten in the last 10 years in a far
Yeah,
rapid.
but you had to respond to his question that for the past 10 months, it was your man behind the system who was there, and he is not rotten. So why didn't you start this process at that time?
No, sir, that's not the question is that we have problem with the setup they have spread all over Pakistan with they were talking about just the reference of the Governor State Bank of Pakistan and the President of the National Bank of Pakistan. I mean, they went on to politicizing each and every single institution which existed.
That's true. But you must have had your homework, right, sir?
We had we are working on it. Once we have things on hand, I mean, now we are working and we are facing all those problems.
Right.
They have their boys sitting everywhere, and we are trying to, clean out the mess they made in the past 10 years.
As Sheikh Saab has pointed out, guilty, innocent until proven guilty, and every person, every bureaucrat, every government functionary is a Pakistani first. Let us wait till the time their guilt has been proven. Then we'll say that their boys or his boys or her boys have been sitting there or here. Khari Saab, I'm told that we have almost run short of time. You can conclude on my behalf, sir. Please.
No, I don't want to go on your behalf. I'm just saying that wishing good luck to this government, and we have all the prayers for this government, and we want that this government to succeed.
Right. On that very noble conclusion, I have to conclude the program. Zubair Khari Saab, thank you very much. Kaisar Ahmad Sheikh Saab, thank you very much, sir, for your time as well. Muhammad Ibrahim Khan Saab, thank you very much for being here also. Viewers, you have listened to our participants. The question at this moment is not merely of the government or the previous governments. The question also comes back to me as a journalist or a media practitioner and this broader civil society of the country. Wherever borrowing takes place all over the world, wherever policies are made, usually civil society also works over time to come up with their analysis and at least through RTI access to the data that is needed. Where is that rung? Why is media's job and civil society's job and academia's job and experts' job missing? That is a big question as well. Let us hope in coming days we find answer to all these questions. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching us. Take care.